Good, you?
No,
It's been a while.
It has. It has.
Yeah,
But
but I see you on social media. Yeah,
because we are winning the league, that's why you see me on social media. Because if we do not, deactivation flat.
well, you have
Deactivation
two
flat.
crucial weeks to go, so we'll see.
But you think we'll make it eventually?
Yeah, I'm quite positive.
Eventually, you're sure?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll take it. We'll take it. Yeah.
Right, Henry, thank you so much for joining us. It's always good to have you on the show. Now, let's just start from the Ghana Premier League. I mean, there's quite a number of issues around the Ghana Premier League, if I should say. I think that generally this season has been fairly good, not better than what we saw last season, but it's been fairly good. What has been your assessment of the Ghana Premier League this year?
Well, thank you very much, Yao. I think that if you look at the league table, it speaks volumes of the competitive nature of the league. With the exception of Aduana Stars, the other teams, the other 17 teams, can still be relegated, even though we've got just about 9 matches, 8 matches to end the season. Yes, there have been a few issues regarding officiating, regarding venues, and yesterday was an example, for instance, when Bekum Chelsea hosted Asante Twum. Yes, as a football association, we are concerned about the infrastructure deficit. We've always tried as much as possible to make it better through the club licensing board, but the challenges are there. The challenges are enormous. It is something you cannot run away from. Yeah. Most of these clubs do not own their own facility. Again, the FA is handicapped when it comes to cracking the whip, especially when it comes to the implementation of the club licensing regime or the regulations. So sometimes you are compelled to relax things a bit just to allow the clubs to have a field day in certain areas of the implementation. I know we'll get there. Some of the clubs have taken the initiative to now begin their own projects. Hearts of Oak 1, Asante Twum 2, Nations FC in Division 1-3. There is another club called Asekem FC at Mampong Beposo. Yes, in the Ashanti region. They also have a very nice project that they are embarking upon. So I think, yes, regardless of the facts that there are challenges, the game itself hasn't been bad. I watched Kotoku Royals Midiema last week. Midiema took the lead. Kotoku Royals are down, at the bottom of the table, but they have been very, very competitive. They've gathered more points in the second round compared to the number of points they amassed in the entire first half of the campaign. So, yes, the challenges are there, like I said. Officiating has been, a bit topical in terms of the decisions of referees, week in, week out, but I'm sure we'll get better.
Now, there's also another thing about Chris Hughton seeing matches in the Ghana Premier League. He's been in Accra a few times. He's gone to COMMS. He's gone to Tamale. The question everybody is asking is that part of his mandate as Black Stars coach, or the FA has tasked him to undertake these monitoring processes just to find local footballers and add them to the Black Stars pool?
Well, it's a process. We are in the process of building a winning squad one more time. It will take time. It needs a lot of investment. Investment here talks about time, talks about money, talks about energy, talks about ideas, thinking, and a whole lot. And so, yes, one of the things we discussed with Chris was to make good use of the opportunity anytime he finds himself here. He is somebody who loves the game and always want to get closer to the action. And so, yes, he watched, I think, Great Olympics, Bechem United at the Accra Sports Stadium. Then he went to Dawu to watch Dreams FC Legon Cities in the FA Cup. He's been to Tamale to watch RTU in Swatreman as well. He was in Kumasi when Kotoko played against Kim Faisal, in Kumasi. So he's watched a number of games. The first thing is that he is impressed about the quality and the standard, even though he has a few concerns that he has also shared with the technical directorate of the FA. Automatically will be passed on to the executive council and the leadership for them to look into it. But yes, Chris is the coach of the Black Stars, but he has other responsibilities, advice, guidance, what have you, to the other national teams.
Right.
So, I mean, watching the games gives him that opportunity to also recommend players who fall, you know, within the age competitions, U23, U20, U17, who are still playing in the Black Stars, and those he thinks also qualified to play in the Black Stars will be given a fair opportunity. So it's part of the process, the long-term, mid to long-term process of, you know, incorporating everyone, giving everybody the opportunity to have a fair share of what is being done.
Yeah, definitely. Just on what you said about the implementation of the club licensing regulations and the rules, I know that sometimes, not just in relation to, say, the stadia, the corporate governance, the personnel, but just hammering down, right down to implementation. You mentioned trying to create just allowance for participation, and because you know things are already tough as it is, but would that not be detrimental to the game? For how long are we going to say, oh, we're going to allow this, we're going to do this? Would that not stifle the development of the...
Well, I'm sure you've been monitoring, and there have been seasons where we move clubs from their regular home grounds and take them to other venues. For instance, before Liberty were relegated 2 seasons ago, we moved them from Dansoman. They were playing at Sogakope. At some point, Dreams FC weren't allowed to use they were playing at the Accra Sports Stadium. I remember 2 years ago when, you know, they played Kotoko. It was at the Accra Sports Stadium. As we speak, there are other clubs who, Brecum Chelsea, for instance, before they moved to Brecum this particular season, their first 3 games of the season, they played at Doma, you know. So, yes, sometimes you want to relax things a bit, but, you know, because it also affects the development of the game, as a regulator or as a manager of the game, sometimes you have to be tough. Right. You know, the club licensing regulation is quite broad: administration, legal, management, media, technical, and then the sporting side where we see on the pitch. But that is just, you know, it's a little bit of the whole umbrella called the club licensing regulation. So yes, Anila, I think it is quite tough in rolling out the licensing regime 100%. Sometimes these clubs, some of them even complain that we are too tough and we should be a bit relaxed. But we want to, you know, get to the level where we all aspire to be. And so you do not have to compromise. And like I mentioned earlier, it is not easy, but I am positive about tomorrow.
I mean, definitely. If you want development, you'd have to just hammer things down. But I'm not even just asking this question I'm about to ask in your capacity as, you know, the communications director for the GFA, but I've always valued your analysis, and I didn't get the chance to talk to you about it. But how did you think that the Black Stars fared in the AFCON qualifiers that were recently played, just briefly?
I think it's good. We showed hunger, we showed desire. The team was prepared to go the extra mile. Standing on the sidelines in Kumasi when the going got tough and the goal was not coming, I started asking questions. Is this going to be, end in a draw?
But questions as a fan or
as both. But eventually we found a way, and we nicked it through Semenyon's late goal, and it was quite good. We went to Angola, and one positive thing is that yes, we played the 2 matches without some key players, but we fared well. In Angola, Thomas didn't kick, but in his absence, there was Edmond, there was Ashimeru, there was Salis who did the job. You know, in Kumasi, Andre did not kick, but in his absence, there were other players who did the job. What it is that you look on the bench, and it looks very inspiring and promising that at any point in time, we won the game in Kumasi from the bench, and then we got the draw in Angola as well from the bench. So at any point in time, you can trust the players on the bench to come off the bench and make the difference. And Osman Bukari and Joseph Pinto proved, their worth when they were granted that opportunity in Luanda, and we got a draw. We've got 2 matches to go. I believe that the 2 matches we will win, and then we
straight wins.
Yeah, I'm very, very sure that we will win. And
hearing it from you, I'm
once we win, we want to make it to Côte d'Ivoire in grand style. We are not promising heaven, but we know that it will take time. Yeah. You look at this team, and in almost every position, you've got 2, 3, 4 players to rely upon. Yes. Tariq Lamptey didn't come, but immediately we brought Kingsley Schindler, and he got his debut in Luanda. He was good. So at the right back position alone, you've got Dennis, you've got Tariq, you've got Schindler, you've got Ali Diseidu. Yeah. Left back, a number of options. Today we've brought in Patrick Pozo. In central defense, there is Jiku, there is Amate, there is Edu, there is Salisu. Salisu did not kick in both matches, but out of the situation, we were able to get a good result from both matches. So the future looks good. The process looks good. We are on a rebuilding process. It will take time. Sometimes we will not get the results we desire, but I am sure in the long run, our team will get better.
Now, Henry, also congratulations to us for qualifying for the Under-23 AFCON. Now, I know that as a country, we are looking beyond that AFCON, and we are looking to get into the Olympics. How much of a priority is that for the GFA, having to make the Meteors become a strong force that would compete again?
We see every single player in the Black Meteors as a potential Black Stars player. When we were about to go into those matches, it fell within the same window. The two coaches, Chris and Tanko, had a meeting. Out of that meeting, they decided we allow Ishahaku and Efie Barnier and Noama to play for the Meteors. We are glad that from the two legs we've been able to qualify. We haven't been to the Olympic Games since 2004. If my memory serves me right, honestly, our best team in recent times failed to qualify for the Olympic Games. And I'm talking about that Michael Hellegbe, Samuel Jan, Patrick Villas, Maxwell Mensah team in 2008 when we drew with Nigeria and couldn't make it to Beijing. Very strong team, characteristic team, but we couldn't make it. Since then, we've tried a number of times and we've always failed. So we want to make it a special project this time. The first thing was that we have to go through the qualification. We passed the Madagascar hurdle, then it got to Algeria, and we've been able to qualify as well. We want to go to Morocco and make an impact. First of all, we want to make it to the Olympic Games, and then we will eye the U23 trophy, in Morocco. It will not be easy. Having looked at the other qualifiers, it will be tough. Morocco are very strong. Egypt have qualified as well. I think I've seen Tanzania also in there. But we have a good team, honestly. And I like the fact that it is quite a progression from the U20 team. Today we've got Dunlad, Barnier, Ishahaku, who were in the previous U20 that won the Africa Cup. And then we've complemented them with the recent U20 that even failed in Niger. And then others have also come in, So I strongly believe that we will go to Morocco and make a huge impact by qualifying. And then once we get into the medal zone, we'll look at how to win the title.
Most definitely. You're still watching Warm Up Plus right here on TV3. We have Communications Director of the Ghana Football Association, Henry Asante Twum, still in the studio. Aniela.
Definitely. I mean, just the blend and progression. I just liked how you were going with it, because some of these players, we see them in a different capacity, and we see the progression, we see the development as well. But speaking of development and, initiative and new ideas, Ghana Futsal Football.
Yeah.
Exactly. I just wanted to ask you about that, how the deal came through, because we saw the announcement of the sponsorship package and everything. What are we to expect?
Well, futsal has been around for some time now. It was in individual hands, but when we took office, we decided to make it one of the projects. So Oseya Samson, who was doing futsal back in the day, we invited him over.
Why the smile?
I'm sure he knows.
Why the smile? Why the smile?
I personally have a relationship with the man, so he when I used to be on radio, he approached me numerous times to give attention to futsal. So when we took office, we decided to invite him over. We had some meetings with him. Eventually, we decided to make it an FA project. So we made him the chairman of the national teams, the full-star national teams. But how would you get a national team when you do not have a league that would ultimately contribute players?
Exactly.
So last season, we decided to give futsal a novel competition. So we organized the Futsal FA Cup. We used the Magdan Latown Park because we do not have the halls and we do not have the field, the futsal field. So we used the Magdan Latown Park. 8 clubs registered for the Nouvelle FA Cup, and then we got some players. We saw the quality. We also, saw the fact that some communities had already begun forming their own futsal team. So we sent out information across the country. Clubs came from Kumasi, Takoradi, I think Bolga and Tamale. But, you know, there are challenges with infrastructure in those areas. So we have taken a decision to begin the futsal league from the Greater Accra region.
Right.
So that was what we launched this week.
Right.
And so we'll begin a 16-club futsal league. We've zoned them into 2 groups. 8 will play at Adenta, and then 8 will also play you know, here in Accra. And then after that, we'll have the champion from the Adenta zone and the champion from here coming to play the who is who. The decider.
But Henry, you're talking a lot about the organization, but I know that some people are watching Warmer Plus and they don't know what futsal football is.
Futsal, okay, so futsal is just like football.
Yeah.
There is some slight difference between futsal. Football is played with 11 players. You are limited in terms of substitutions.
That's your striker. Also doubles as a midfielder. So you know.
But futsal, you can make as many changes as possible.
Okay.
You know, it's not an 11v11 competition. It's sometimes 7v7 or 5v5. You know, so it's not like football. We have a referee called the umpire. We have a set of rules like free kick, like offside, like penalty, like foul. You know, just like football. But there are some few, you know, difference or technicalities in futsal comparatively if you want to apply the same rules to football. So it's just like a 5-a-side or a 7-a-side, you know, indoor competition with the rules quite similar to football, but some slight changes.
You know, we may have been playing it in school, but not have recognized what it was because we play 5-a-side on the basketball court. Sometimes that's literally where we played, and like that's basically mirroring the game in itself. But I'm happy. I think even students or children would be inspired when everything is launched fully and know that this is something that they can equally participate in.
We want to make it a nationwide, you know, competition. But once we start from Accra and then the interest grow, we will then move from Accra to the other regions, and then it will become national.
Definitely, definitely. But Henry, before you go, anything you want to say? I mean, all the time we're trying to inspire confidence in the Ghanaian citizenry and assure them that, you know, things are being done the way they should. So just of your final
Well, what I want to
words
say is that, first of all, I'm grateful for the opportunity. I know that Ghanaian football fans have been worried and agitated and apprehensive, you know, over the period.
Agitated, worried, apprehensive.
Yes. We went to the World Cup. We didn't perform well to their expectations. We went to
do statistics for you right now.
We went to the AFCON. Things didn't go well as well. We exited at the group stage. We couldn't qualify for the Africa Under-20 Championship, having won the previous edition. We couldn't make it to the Under-17 Cup of Nations as well. We haven't been there in a long while. But we are committed to the game, and we want to correct the wrongs. And so luckily for us, we got KGL that came on board with a 5-year sponsorship worth $1 million every year. We are into the 3rd year at least. I'm glad that today we have our Under-17 playing in the 4-nation tournament in Serbia. They made us proud. On Thursday, beat Serbia by 4-0. And some of those boys came through the KGL Under-17 Champions League. We have decided to make it a national affair, so we'll play the regional championship in Kumasi in May. We want to get the right things done. We want to set the foundations right, because when the foundation is weak, the building will collapse. Crumble. So we will plead with Ghanaians to calm down. We are conscious about how expectant they are, but sometimes things don't go the way we all envisage. With time, we will get better. We will sacrifice our today for a better tomorrow. It will not be easy. The road will be tough, but in the end, we will make it. Definitely. So all Henry is trying to tell you is not cheap. Okay. Please, we are begging you that. Just the time. But thank you so much, Henry Asante Twum, for joining us. It's always insightful to talk to you. And I mean, thanks for breaking down the futsal football league for us.